grew up beneath the shadows of Hogan and Snead and was mentored by Nelson. Ken Venturi would grow to leave his own indelible mark on the game of golf. As a tour professional for more than a decade, as a broadcaster for 35 years, and as a philanthropist to this day, a far cry from the isolation he embraced early on.
And when I was 13 years old, the teacher told my mother, "I'm sorry, Mrs. Venturi, but your son is an incurable stammerer and will never be able to speak as long as he lives." And my mother asked me what I was going to do. It took me a while to say it, and I said, "I'm going to play the loneliest sport that I know," and I borrowed a set of clubs. My dream was winning the U.S. Open, and I always felt that someday I would win the U.S. Open, but I never dreamt that I'd ever be able to speak. I was at the bottom of the barrel. I had an accident. I was a passenger in a car that was hit broadside in 1961. And I didn't break anything, but I tore myself up. My game had gone down, and I said to my dad, "You know, I feel like I want to quit." He said, "Son, that's the only thing in the world that takes no talent. Anybody can quit." And in the morning round, I had gone on the practice green with Tony Lima, and I was putting. And he said, "Good luck to you, Ken." He said, I got a feeling it's going to be your day. And I says, "I sure hope so."
By the turn, Ken was leading the Open, but by the 15th hole, heat stroke began setting in. Pale and shaking uncontrollably, Ken bogeyed the last 2 holes to fall 2 shots behind.
Dr. Everett said to me, he said, "Ken, I suggest you don't go back out. It could be fatal." I looked him straight in the eye, and I said, "It's better than the way I've been living."
Another chapter in Ken Venturi's life so similar to all the others. A seemingly defeated man who refused to accept failure. Ken labored through those last 18 holes at Congressional, continuing to fight. His vision focused on that childhood dream of a U.S. Open championship.
The final putt that I made it, I couldn't believe I made it, and I looked up and said, "My God, I won the Open," and Ray Floyd picked the ball out of the hole for me. And I looked at his hand, and I took the ball, and I looked up into his eyes, and a 21-year-old boy was crying his eyes out. And then I lost it, too. And then I came back Athlete of the Year, Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year. In November, I started losing the use of my hands. Funny thing is that it would, again, is why me? I'm at the peak of my career.
Severe carpal tunnel in both hands would force Ken out of the game. Another setback which would only further define his character.
When I left for my final tour, I made a promise. If you put the clubs back in my hand one more time, I promise I'll get back. And I never forgot that. This all had to happen so that I could help some other people. Abandoned children in Los Angeles, Down syndrome children in Ireland, Guiding Eyes for the Blind in New York. I've been responsible for putting 350 dogs in the hands of blind people at no cost. When I describe a hole, bunker here, green falls this way, bunker back, this slope and the whole thing, you know who I'm giving it to? All my blind golfers. They know it. I've had the sweetness of success and the bitterness of defeat, and I'll always thank God they passed my way. And I felt I did my best. The world will not remember you for what you take from it, but only what you leave behind.
I'm Ken Venturi, and I'll be covering the 14th hole.
And when I was signing off, and I said, the greatest reward in life is to be remembered, and thank you for remembering me. And my final words on television that time was, "May God bless you, and may God bless America."